Ladies and gentlemen, you're once more welcome to our YouTube podcast program, otherwise known as Georgia Bank's News. Please, we implore you to subscribe and help others to subscribe in order to benefit from our media outlet which promotes learning abilities as we are just a vehicle that carries facts from experts to recipients. Today, our podcast is centered on corporal punishment vis-a-vis learning abilities. This has been an old debate in the recent past, which through experience seemed to be reversing its objectives, as learning and learners may now be preferring corporal punishments as against learning by techniques. By the way, what is corporal punishment? Experts say this is a punishment which is intended to cause physical pain to a person, which objective is to discipline and change the person's ability of action for the better. This may be applied at home, school, the prison, or in the judiciary, even in the military. The methods include spanking or paddling, especially to minors. Whipping has been one of the oldest methods inflicted on children, adults, prisoners, and slaves. Our topic is centered on the fact that can corporal punishment help learners improve or have a booster in reasoning and help them improve in their learning abilities? In the 21st century, the legality of corporal punishment in various settings differs by jurisdiction. Internationally, the late 20th and early 21st centuries saw the application of human rights laws to the question of corporal punishment in a number of contexts. However, in many Western countries, medical and human rights organizations have been opposed to corporal punishment on children. As of November 2017, it remains lawful in parts of Africa, Asia, including other countries of the world, as promulgated by the United Nations Charter to respect human rights. A religious female American prolific writer, Ellen G. White, also gave her commentaries on this issue as she reveals in one of her bestsellers, known as Child Guidance, on page 44. She says, "Never raise your hand to give them a blow that is on your children unless you can, with a clear conscience, bow before God and ask His blessings upon the correction you are about to give." She also says, "Encourage love in the hearts of your children and present them before them a high and correct motive for self-restraint." Contrary to this, our team contacted a pedagogue who pleaded for anonymity on this topic. This is what he revealed. Take a listen. What is your take on corporal punishment? Can that improve academic performance in class?
As a teacher, a Ghanaian teacher, I can tell you for a fact that the absence of corporal punishment in our educational system is actually negatively impacting on our students. Because I have now students in my class who feel that there's really nothing at stake. Whether he takes academic work seriously or not, nothing is going to happen. So my take on this is that we are doing ourselves a great disservice if we continue to buy wholesale Euro-American culture of system of education that does not include or excludes or outlaws corporal punishment.
Academic performance.
About flogging the child to death, but even the presence of the king to let him know that, look, if you don't take your academic work seriously, you're going to be punished, is enough to get students to sit up. Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
Of handling the subject, the rest should not be a problem.
So you think the whip can adjust dyslexia?
Yes, not just the whip. It's not just the whip, but other means. So some children are slow learners, but we are quick to write them off. Because even a child that may be dyslexic may be able to pick up at a certain rate, so he is not altogether condemned. Okay. So when you're doing your part as a teacher, you're applying all the other means.
Yeah.
Then that aspect of fear that if you don't take it seriously, if you score below a certain point, I'm going to do A or B or C to you, becomes an additional strategy to get the child to take more.
There's something from dyscalculia.
Yes, so this dyscalculia thing is, again, you see, why must everybody be an academic genius? If there is proof, there is research, there is the diagnosis shows that this child is beyond help, let's get the child to do something else. The fact that the person is dyscalculic does not mean that child may not be able to perform better in some other field. So we try this attempt to force everybody into the normal educational system. Probably is something we need to look at, because not everybody will be academically successful. But that person, elsewhere, the people branded as academically bankrupt are those who are developing the technologies and the things. So what's the point? If the child cannot read or calculate, but can create something else that can be useful to humankind, why not? So the whole education system needs to be overhauled. Let's find a way of sifting it.
So I think if I'm coming near what you're saying, special needs teachers are necessary in this situation, right? Special needs teachers. Yes. So do you encourage the educational ministry to use special needs teachers to assist those who have brain impairments in schools?
It is already in existence, but how effective this is probably something that we should look at again. Yeah, because even at the training college, we had teachers who were special needs trainers who were supposed to train people to go take care of these children. Yeah. So it means that the powers that be are aware that these problems exist and that children of this nature exist. But then how effective, who is monitoring to ensure that they are not shortchanged? That's the point.
So you have the opinion that the law of corporal punishment should be scrapped, if possible, looking at the situation in the Ghanaian school system?
Should be stripped?
Should be scraped out to allow the teachers to use corporal punishment.
Absolutely. I've said that time without number. That is not helping.
Okay.
It's not helping. But there are children who would have been a lot better than they are now, but for the absence of corporal punishment. So there's nothing there that makes them think that, look, I've got to take this thing seriously. But in our time, it was part of it. You were punished and you didn't want to become a victim more than once. So even things you didn't like, you had to study in order to do well in. So.
Meanwhile, learners had their own side of the story. Hear them.
Best way to help a student learn, because you using the whip or the cane to make her learn, it's just going to make the students fear. There are better ways that you could
you could do it, right?
There are better ways you can motivate her to learn, him or her to learn something. At that moment, she'll be afraid, okay, I have to learn, or else I'll be caned. And thinking of the pain she's going to cause her in the future. I believe in like talking to someone, like, you understand, motivational words and inspiration.
Okay.
That one, it impacts you for like a lifetime instead.
So you agree with the law?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh. Back in like the early 2000s, when like the teachers were actually beating students, they did better than us now. So now they don't beat us now, so like we get to flow in how he wants. Okay. So like we can turn to the teacher while he's teaching in class, because we know that he wants to touch us with the cane. Because like, what's the student's greatest fear? The cane.
Okay.
So that's what we think.
So you think corporal punishment is better?
Oh, corporal punishment is better. Like corporal punishment by caning, right?
Yeah.
Or like kneeling down.
Like caning?
Yeah, caning is better.
What about you? How do you look at it?
Okay, so corporal punishment in its own aspect creates an atmosphere of fear in the first place. Like students are fearful of the teacher. So because of the caning and the pain from that canes, it pushes the student ahead to learn more. Because they are scared of the teacher the next day. Like you have an exercise, for example, a scenario, you have an exercise the next day, and you know the teacher is going to beat you with a cane. So that will influence you to learn more ahead. But because there's no corporal punishment now, students are like, oh, okay, if I don't even do the work, it's just going to affect my transcript or academic studies. So the teacher isn't going to be me in the first place. So they maybe just not pay attention.
So what's your take?
I think teachers shouldn't use a cane to an extent where like your students will fear you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, be friendly with them and use the cane alongside, but then strict and corporal.
Okay, you prefer the cane and the friendliness.
Yes, that's better.
That's the two.
Yeah, that's it too.
Okay, what about you? Do you think corporal punishment is necessary?
Yes, I think it's necessary because
to help the students perform very well?
Yes, because it instills a sense of discipline in the students.
Okay, yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Do you think it goes well? Yes. Can students understand faster?
Yes.
If they are used, what's your take?
They're supposed to take their studies serious and also early as much. They're supposed to go to class.
And if a student cannot perform well, for instance, and they use a cane, do you think it can help the student?
Oh yes, it is good.
So you like that corporal punishment should be implemented in schools?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
In another development concerning corporal punishment and learning, experts in the USA, after a survey, discovered that it leads to adverse physical, psychological, and educational outcomes, including increased aggressive and destructive behavior, increased disruptive behavior in the classroom, vandalism, poor school achievements, poor attention span, increased dropout rate, school avoidance, and finally, school phobia. Another study by researchers from the university's school from the same country of psychology published in a journal of neuroscience that it has been shown that corporal punishment can act as an enhancer in a similar way to monetary reward. While we also agree that in the African setting, discipline plays a vital role even in academics and can enhance a booster in performance, but this should not permanently fall in line with corporal punishment. Let us look at it this way. A child had a brain impairment from the birth canal during delivery, and this led to an either dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, or dysphagia. How can we fix it with spanks, whipping, blows during teaching? It becomes a serious debacle between parents, teacher, and against the ignorant learner who should have been cultured or educated by either neurologists, psychologists, psychiatrists, or a special needs teacher in collaboration with either a guardian or an instructor.
Techniques should be implemented to handle difficult situations rather than brutal approaches that may discourage prospective learners. It should be remarked that some of us had hated mathematics not because we couldn't do it. If better methods were applied during our good old learning days, where corporal punishment was the only way to handle learning disabilities. America today is counting 19 states out of 50 who still perform this unacceptable approach, while Africans are somehow doing it either openly or secretly in some homes and schools, despite the fact that it has been completely banned officially. I am George Abang, your host for George Abang's News. I hope you enjoyed this program. Our rendezvous comes up on the few days from now. For further investigations on this topic, visit www.hrw.org. See you next time. God bless you.